Sleepy. She's going to sleep.
Say hi, everybody.
Rachel, you're right in front of me, hon.
Oh, out comes the sucker. Can you say hi? Hi, everybody. Hi. Oh, back in goes the sucker. What did you get the hardest sucking on it?
Rachel. 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 How do you like that baby? Huh?
She likes you.
Nanny's going out. Looks like.
Hi, little baby.
Wish we could take the sucker out.
Is Nanny going for a walk?
Oh, I don't know. Michelle, what do you think of that baby?
She's cute.
Does she look like what you thought she was going to?
No, I thought she was going to have curly hair and purple eyes.
Purple?
Yeah.
Why purple?
Well, because I've seen purple eyes before.
Maybe in the cartoons?
No, not cartoon.
What are you sucking on, Rach?
My fingers.
Melancholy time, I guess.
Those eyes are going in and out.
Try this. Usually the only time I really give it to her, the only time she'll take it is right before she goes to bed. So sometimes when she takes it, it's like, I certainly must be sleepy. I got this thing in my mouth. Wish she'd suck on her
She's so cute the way she does her eyes. Just closes them and opens them. And oh my God. She's out
She's
for a
asleep.
moment. Her eyes were closed.
Studio, and we've got Grandma Shippy with us, and we're going to ask her some questions. We all decided that we would like to know a little bit about her and her life and get it all recorded. Ann is here, and Mom, and Jessie. So they're going to pipe in at any time. They've decided that I was going to be the one that would sit here and ask the questions. So we wanted to start out asking Grandma what her birth date is.
March 4th.
March the 4th. I was born in 1905. March the 4th. And the surprise was that there was two of us when I was born.
So were there twins?
A twin brother.
Oh.
Yeah, twin brother. His name was Merlin Oren, and my name is Myrtle Orlean.
Oh.
Do you know why they chose those names, Mama? Any
No.
particular reason?
No, I don't know why. Probably in shock.
So your mom didn't know she was having twins?
I don't think so. At that time, they didn't, they didn't go and have all this, and I don't think they.
And were you born in the old house there where we used to go and have
Born
Christmas?
in the house where I lived until I was married.
Which is where, Grandma?
Well, it's near Green Valley, about 4 miles south of Green Valley.
Okay.
What about your family? Who was already born?
Well, I
in your
had
family?
4 or 5 sisters. We said Fern, Pearl, Maud, Opal, Hazel. I had 5 sisters. That were
And were you guys the youngest?
no. I'm sorry. I had 4 sisters, and then and then Opal was born after I was.
Oh, okay.
I was next to the last one. And I don't remember. I had 3 brothers, but I don't remember ever seeing any of them. The only thing I remember about my brothers was my oldest brother, Orville, was at the grave. We had a neighbor woman named Mrs. Morris. She was a heavy-set woman, and I remember her. She was holding me. I think I was 4 or 5. She was holding me, and I was looking down at that grave, and I remember that, and that's all I remember.
How old was he when he died?
I'm not sure. I think he was 17 or 18, something like that.
so
He died of pneumonia.
Oh.
And is that your earliest memory? Is that the earliest memory you have of anything?
I think so.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it is.
And then when did Merlin die?
I'm not real positive about. I think he wasn't 2 yet when he died.
Were those boys all dead before you were born?
Mm-hmm. The other
Okay.
brothers were.
Okay.
Mhm.
I couldn't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get off this morbid subject. Move right.
We have all those dates somewhere, you know, when those boys were born.
Yeah, we have the dates. Well, they're on tombstones there at the cemetery.
Yeah, right. Well, we have them in those genealogy things
Oh,
that
yeah.
we have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, you do. Other question?
So, let's see, what else can we think of here? Tell us about, what's the first president that you can remember?
Mm. I think maybe Roosevelt is the first one that I remember thinking very much about.
Roosevelt?
Mm-hmm.
Herbert Hoover. Herbert Hoover, wasn't he the one that was before Franklin Delano?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think
I'm
so.
not sure. He's the one I remember more about. I don't remember too much about him, but I do remember.
Do you, what do you remember about politics as you were growing up? Do you remember anything particularly?
Not much, because Mom and Dad were not politically minded people.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
But Aunt Fern was,
Mm-hmm. But
and you were.
Uh-huh. I don't remember them.
Is that right?
Much about it. Or they may have, and I just didn't grasp it. You know?
Yeah, right.
How about some about your brothers and sisters and your aunts and uncles? Some of the things you remember about them when you were young. Or who you went to for
I
holidays.
remember Opal was the bane of my life. But she was younger than I was, and she was a baby.
How much younger was she than you?
I think about 2 years.
Oh, so she was close to you.
So what are some of those stories you used to tell about her that she did? She
Well-
told on you, she tattled on you,
Oh,
I
she
know.
did a lot. Well, when we were, I think before we were school age, we liked to play. When Fern would come, Mildred and Ruby were old enough to play with us. That was Fern's oldest girl that died. And we played rabbit in the house. And we had, in the living room, there was the things you could get under was your den. And we all had a den. And then we had to have one man to be the hunter, and he had a spool to shoot with.
A spool, like a thread?
Like that little, just a spool, didn't have any thread on.
And you threw the spool.
Through the spool, if you hit
To
him,
hit him.
he had to be it. Well, Opal wasn't a very good sport. She wouldn't get out. So when any of us could hit her, we just, one of us three would be it all the time, and she would never get out unless it was a sure thing. So I just kept getting madder and madder. So finally she did venture out, and I let her have it with that spoon as hard as I could. And of course she went screaming to Mama that I had hurt her. So Mama said, you go and help dry the dishes. So I was drying dishes. So Opal didn't get too much sympathy from Mama as she wanted, so she went to Maud and showed her, and I'd hit her right here. And you know how that can swell if you hit a vessel. It is just. So when Mama saw Maud took her and said, Mama, look here, what she did to her. And when she did, Mama gave me a spanking. Besides having to dry the dishes. I'm sure Opal enjoyed it thoroughly. She kind of liked us to,
And didn't you play outside? Was there squirrel game or something you played? Didn't you tell me one time you played squirrels outside? Don't remember that. Maybe it was the rabbit one.
I don't remember that. As we got a little bit older, we'd go to the picture show occasionally, not very often. And it was just marvelous, to go to the picture show. And they always played the piano when the show was going on. But somebody played the piano. So when we get home, the next evening we would, one of us would sit in the house, and the organ was sitting pretty close to the front window. And we would, one of us would play the organ and watch out the window, and the other two would go out in the edge of the woods there, and we'd be the actors. We had a big time.
Mama, were those movies silent?
Oh,
You
yeah.
remember silent movies?
Oh, yeah, they were
Those
silent.
were silent. That's why they played the piano.
Oh,
To have a little noise.
Oh, so the piano was going the whole time?
Oh yeah.
Through the whole movie?
And in those silent movies, didn't they have what they said written,
yeah, caption.
captions?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
If I remember, I think it was, because there wasn't any,
And you remember what it cost you to go to a movie?
no, I don't.
And I think I can remember when they went to movies for a dime.
Oh,
Was it black and white?
Yeah, there was no
Mhm.
color. No,
Yeah.
there was no color.
Now, do you remember a TV set? When was your first
Not
one?
for a long time. See, TV didn't come in until quite a bit later. I remember my first airplane, seeing my first airplane.
Really?
We were down there, you know what the big hill is, where
Yeah, I
where
did.
home is.
I did.
I don't know what we were doing. We were down there at the top of that big hill, and somebody come hollering, look, there's an airplane up there.
Huh.
And we all looked up, and it was just a little black spot, but oh, it was such a thrill to think we'd seen the first airplane, the first
that's
airplane.
nice. How about cars?
Oh, I have a good one with that one. Oprah and I were going to school, and she always walked about 3 steps behind me because, I don't know, well, I walked faster than she did. So anyway, we were going there, where the cemetery is. I was going up that hill for that cemetery, and she was at the bottom of the hill, and I was about to stop. When the people that lived in the house, first house down there, had the first car in the whole neighborhood. And here they come driving their new car. And when Opal saw it, she began screaming and running and wanting to catch up with me. She was scared to death. And well, they drove up and stopped and asked us to ride to school. I'd have given my right arm, so I got to ride to school in that new car. But she screamed and yelled, and when I started to step in the car, and she screamed and yelled and bawled, till I finally told her, just go on. I wouldn't go and leave her.
Was she scared?
Yes, she was scared.
Was that the first car you had ever seen?
I don't remember. It's
You
one,
don't
the
remember?
first one I'd seen close up.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
But later in life, you and Aunt Opal were really good friends.
Oh yeah, we had a lot of good times together.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just did a lot of things.
Do you remember what the car was?
No,
What kind
no,
of car
no.
it was?
Oh, it was far cry from what we have now.
Yeah.
But I don't remember what it was.
Huh.
I don't remember it
I want you to tell the funny story about the goat.
all.
You know, pulling the goat.
Well, that was in the fall, when the I can't think of nuts, walnuts began to fall, and we decided one day we would go and pick up a bunch of walnuts. Well, we didn't know what to carry them in, so we had no buggy there because we had a horse that we pulled that buggy. So we pushed that buggy down in what we call the woods pasture, and it was a down slope all the way, and got down there where the nuts were, and we were picking up the nuts and getting it filled up. And Dad bought an old goat. I don't know why he bought it, but a big old goat. He was out there in the pasture, and he'd come on over there, and so when we filled that whole bottom of that buggy with nuts, and we couldn't hardly push it, it was awful heavy. So I said, well, Hazel, you get the shaft. You come, because there's one thing that where we use one horse. Now you get the shaft, and Opal, you push, and Opal and I will push. Well, whenever we'd bend over to push, here that old goat comes, this, right at us. So we tried it about 3 times, and he wouldn't go away. We tried it, and he was so, you couldn't hardly hit him. He'd jump out of the way. So I said, okay, go ahead, Hazel. You do what you're doing. No, you do what you're doing. I got me a club, and I said, I'll break his leg. So here he comes. And when he did, I said, well, we should have known what a goat would do. And when I swung, he just hopped up. And I hit Opal on the leg. I never heard such a scream. He tore out to the house to tell Mom. So we just left the buggy. I don't remember now how they got it home. Maybe they put force to it or something.
Did you have to do dishes?
No, she never, because it wasn't intentional.
Right.
But I could have broke her leg because I was hitting as hard as I could. No, I didn't. I wasn't punished for that because it wasn't intentional. So,
What do you remember about school? Your school memories. Do you have?
well, I remember. It's funny things what you remember. There was a little girl come to school that had long yellow curls. I always wanted my hair to be curly, and it wasn't. I did wear it in curls some after I got older and do it. But she had the loveliest hair. That was her first year in school, and she didn't want to leave her mama, and she cried. I'll never forget how many days she laid with her head on the desk crying. I don't know what she's scared of what it was. I can remember that. That her first year. Their names were Brown. Her last name, but I don't remember what her first name was. But
What was your school like, your schoolhouse?
it was one room school with a big old stove in the back, and the teacher had to come in the morning and get the fire going. She usually had it going before we got there, and there was a bucket of water there with one dipper. We all drank out of the same bucket.
It was at that school there across from Aunt Opal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that school was there till I was grown.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. It
There
had
for
been too
years and
long
years.
that's been taken away. And I can remember walking to school because we walked most of the time, all the time unless the weather was just.
And that was quite a ways.
I think it was about 2 miles.
Yeah, you had to walk.
And I can remember walking home in the winter when the snow was high. It would be as high as a fence post, and we'd get up there and walk on that because it was frozen. We'd get up there and walk on that snow, but none of us fell in, thank goodness.
Yeah.
How many students were there?
I don't recall exactly. I would say probably 30. I'm not certain.
Oh.
But they were all grades. You know, began with the first grade and went to the 8th grade. All grades.
What do you remember about your home there? Your room or your house? Do you have any memories of the house?
How many rooms were there and bedrooms?
Let's see, 1, 2, 3. There was 3 rooms upstairs that we used for bedrooms. But we usually had the beds in 2 rooms. Because the room where us girls slept, we had 2 beds in that room because the rooms were pretty good size. And Opal, Hazel, and I slept in one bed, and Earl Northwind in the other.
And wasn't there something funny about that? Something you used to tell me about sleeping.
Well, if we were all kind of scary sometimes, and we'd get in bed, and Opal always had to be in the middle of it. And so I'd be on one side and Hazel on the other. She wasn't as scared as we were, but if anything kind of scared us, then we'd go to crowd. And more than one night, we grabbed her out of bed. She'd fall out of bed.
Did you ever put hot bricks in your bed to keep warm when it's cold and things like that?
Oh yes, yeah, we heated bricks or.
And I remember you telling me about, was it your grandmother that came, the one that smoked the pipe?
Mm-hmm.
She used to come and she wore lots of skirts. And
She
what
always
was
had.
her name?
Just Grandma Fan.
Oh, Doesn't matter.
I don't remember what her name was now. But she'd come and spend the winter with us. And she had this, her pipe had a long stem on it and a little bitty bowl. And she usually wore, I think, she had a long dress and she had 2 long skirts under. And in the second skirt, she had her pocket where she kept her tobacco, because she smoked. And her hands kind of shook, and I can remember her getting down and getting her skirts up and getting her pipe, filling her pipe, and then sitting there and smoking.
And Grandma Fan didn't mind her smoking in the house?
Well, she did, but what did you do about it? It was his mother.
Yeah.
Oh, and we didn't have, there wasn't a closet upstairs at all. Our clothes hung on the wall in that room where Grandma stayed. And and people would say, especially the older girls, didn't bother us, the younger ones at that, but the older girls, they'd say, do you smoke? Because the clothes smelled like smoke. Where she'd sit there and smoke.
Well, she hid it. Did she try to hide it from you all, that she smoked?
Oh, no.
Oh, I see.
No, she just
I see.
sat and smoked.
So did she have a whole room to herself then?
Mhm.
Wow. And whose room was that then in the summertime?
Oh, I don't know, our clothes were in there, but I don't think we used that for much of anything, because she'd go to Aunt Laura's or Aunt Rose's in the summertime. But she...
So she didn't have a house?
No, she didn't have any home. She used to tell us stories about the war. And the order number 11, you've heard of that, haven't you? Where they ordered people to move out.
Tell them about Grandma Fan. I was little when she died, but she was really a special person. Did she deliver babies?
Oh, she went quite often when people around the country had babies. They had her come, because they didn't go to the hospital. They'd have her come, and because she was so good. And when people were sick, if anybody was really bad sick, if Aunt Tildy, that's what they call, if Aunt Tildy would come, why, but she'd just go and sit down at the bed and never say a word, just sit there with them. And she did that quite a bit when people were
So she
sick.
didn't do anything really for them. She didn't nurse them or anything. She
just be with them.
Oh.
And
huh.
of course, if they needed anything, she
Yeah.
took care of. But she didn't try to sit and talk to somebody else or try to talk to them. She just would sit there, and not disturb them.
That's Mama's mother, Matilda. And then Grandpa Fan,
She was kind of heavy set, Mama was.
he was kind of a pastor, like a preacher, wasn't he?
Well,
Grandpa Fan.
he was an ordained preacher. The church did ordain him. He wasn't a licensed preacher. But
That's
he never.
Wesley.
But he never did. He never did hold it. He never did try to go to church. I don't know why. He didn't, but he never did try to go to church.
But he preached, didn't he? Didn't he preach sermons?
Oh yes, he
Yeah,
preached
that's
at
what
the
I
church sometime when they needed, and he officiated at lots of funerals.
Oh, did he?
Mm-hmm. He would have him come and
And so were they pretty strict on you, religious-wise? Were you?
Well,
I mean, I remember you saying you couldn't sew on Sunday.
No. Oh, well, they just lived it in front of us. They never preached to us about anything much, but they just lived it in front of us, and children then just thought their parents were all right and did what their parents, what they did was fine.
What were you Baptist? Was that a Baptist church that you went to? Tell us about your mom and dad. What you
That's
do.
who we've been talking about, Tim.
That's who.
Oh,
that's who-
okay.
Matilda and Wesley.
And
Oh, okay.
So he farmed then?
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Yeah, he farmed. He and we milked cows. And he farmed. He had the pasture right south of the house. He usually planted alfalfa hay in it. Used to have to help him put up hay. And we milked cows. After I was big enough to remember now, not when we little, but people went to selling milk then. That was kind of the first time they went to selling whole milk, right out of the country. And we used to, and of course, as he had no boys, we had to help with the outside work too. Now, Pearl, she liked to do that, and she helped Dad. She was the one to work with him. But after she was married, then I inherited it. And well, before that though, when she used to work for. They had some ground up where the house, and then we had it in the woods pasture, what we call, and it was down over a hill, quite a long ways from the house, or even from the barn, and they didn't like for her to go down there and do anything down there with the team by herself, because nobody from the house could even hurt her, she'd have. So it fell my lot to go down and stay down there when she was working down there by herself. I'd go down and stay with her. But there was a little creek run through there, and so I fished.
She's got a fishing fever.
That's how I learned to enjoy fishing. And I very seldom ever caught anything. But one day, I had pretty good luck. I caught a little string of fish. Well, everybody in the house, with Mom and Dad, come to afternoon, they come down to fish with me. But we didn't, you know how fish are, we didn't catch anything else that afternoon. But I spent many a day down there.
What about dating now, when you are growing up?
I'll tell you, I wanted to tell you about about the little foxes we had.
Oh, okay.
First, Dad had killed a fox somewhere, another fox. And in a few days when he went down to the cornfield, there was the little foxes in the ditch, a bunch of little bitty foxes, and he brought them to the house, and we just loved them. Each one of us had a fox, and they were the cutest things. You'd get them up and hold them in your arm, and they'd stick their nose up in your ear and just sniff, sniff, sniff. The cutest thing. And at the same time, each one of us had a pet crow. Now, I don't know how we got them, I don't remember. We had pet crows and the pet foxes. And when we'd plant garden in the spring, we were planting the seeds. If you'd give them one of those seeds, they'd take their bill and stick it down and stick that seed right in there. And when we went to school then in the fall, they'd fly to school with us, or along with us, and light on their shoulders. And when we got to school, they'd fly up on the top of the schoolhouse. And then when everybody went in, then they flew home. We enjoyed them.
So how long did you have them?
Just one season. See, they got big enough to eat eggs. And one day Mother went to the hen house, and there was one of the crows eating an egg right in the where the hen had laid it. She just picked him up and wrung his head off. It was Hazel's crow.
How did you know them apart?
Devastated. Oh, I don't know, but we did. But they were real cute.
Well, it was real serious. I mean, the eggs and all that stuff was their food. Was your eat. And if you lost some of it, it was bad news.
Well, I've seen Mom, because that's usually what the groceries with.
Yeah.
I've seen her wait a while till she didn't have quite a dozen till the hen laid that egg or two more before she'd go to town sometime, if she needed so much,
Well, Mama, I remember when we were growing up, that you had the eggs and sold those. Had the hen house, and we'd get the eggs and we sold them to the neighbors. We did that after.
And then I sold hens too. They bought hens from me.
She'd dress them. So that was, she carried on her mother's tradition.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to. Now, what was it you asked me about?
So tell us about your dating, your boyfriends, and that kind of stuff.
Oh, I had several. I started this one last night. I couldn't sleep. It wasn't on account of this, and I just couldn't sleep. So I thought, how many boyfriends I went with? So I got up to 10. Some of them I just had one date with.
Now, where did you meet these guys? At school? At church?
Well, at school, but I don't think I ever had any dates with them till after we got out of school that I remember of.
Now
we had our favorites.
Yeah. In your school, you went up to what grade?
8th.
8th. And you graduated from 8th grade. And then that was all.
That's
You
as far as
never
I
went
went.
any further. Okay. So where did you meet young guys then of high school age?
Church,
Yeah. That's
mostly.
right.
And then neighbors and people in the community. And this one fella I met with, I don't even know his name now. That was after I was engaged to Ward. We went to Oak Grove to the picture show, and I'd seen him over there before, and I thought he sure was cute. And he came and asked me if he'd bring me home. And I told him, yeah. I told him, I said, I live quite a ways. Oh, he said, that's all right. but it was a long ways and up hills and off of that big hill there by home. I often wondered if he got home, but he didn't.
And did he have a horse and buggy?
Mhm. And he drove clear out there and brought me home. He was nice as he could be, but he didn't ask for another date. I think he was glad to get home.
So how old were you? Do you remember how old you were when you first started going out or thinking about the boys? Or
Well, I thought about him in grade school, and I had my favorite. We were favorite for a long time,
yeah.
but I don't remember when they had the first dates. I don't remember.
But did your folks not let you date till you were 16 or so?
Well, no, I don't know that we ever had any opportunity. I just can't remember it for sure.
Yeah.
But and when Mom they wanted us to date just the boys around there. They didn't like to date boys we didn't know.
So where did you meet Daddy?
We went to Furs to stay all day, and he and Earl were there.
Who now?
Earl, you know Earl? You know I've told you about Earl.
Jim and
Jim and
Jim
Al.
now. Oh yeah, I know Earl.
Well, we went there to spend the day, and they were there. I don't know whether Ward was working for them or not. I can't remember. And before the day was over, he asked me for a date.
Oh.
And why not? Because I was kind of out with my regular boyfriend.
So how long did you date?
I don't know that for sure.
Yeah.
I think it was less than a year.
Oh.
But
Do you remember when he asked you to marry him?
Mhm.
Do you?
And I just didn't know whether I wanted to get married or not. I didn't know whether I thought enough of him or not. Because it had always been, everybody in the country thought me and this other guy would get married sometime.
Oh. So you had.
Because I'd gone with him off and on.
What was his name? Do you know?
Fred Korn.
Oh, Fred Korn. Okay.
And he was a cute one, but he was kind of ornery.
And so.
And,
so.
So I was at outs with him, so I thought I'll just have a few dates with him. But he was so nice to me. He never. This Fred you had a lot of fun with him, but he couldn't get sex off of his mind.
Oh.
He was pretty much pushing that. And Ward never said one word to me about that as long as he was. And I thought, well, that's just great. I didn't know he had that much temper. but he was good to me. And it was a surprise to everybody in the neighborhood when I married him, because everybody thought, because I'd gone with this boy off and on and off and on for.
So what did your mom and dad say? Were they?
When Mama, I went told Mama I wanted to marry him, and I know she was doing something with the sink. She just looked at me and she said, "There's a farm goes with that other guy."
Oh.
Because his folks are pretty well fixed.
Yeah.
But she didn't know how ornery he was.
Oh.
And so, that's how I came to.
So, let's see, what was I going to say? So, okay, so where were you married then?
Independence.
Just went to the courthouse?
Mom and Dad went with us.
Did you get any special clothes? Did you get some new clothes and things?
Yeah, I got a new dress.
And yeah, because we have a picture of you in your wedding dress.
It's a crazy dress. I know it was very good picking out dresses. It was kind of a brown color, and it had a big thing hooked up here and hung clear down the dress. You remember seeing that
Yeah,
picture?
I remember that picture.
But I was wedding.
What did your sisters and all think about? I mean, were they excited for you, or do you remember?
No, they didn't say much about it.
Oh, they.
No,
Do you think that was because it was Ward, or just that it was just that it was because it was him, or they just didn't fit anybody? That just wasn't a thing.
I don't know.
Did you have any type of reception or a thing to? Well, you had a.
Good land. We had a chivalry.
Yeah.
We didn't have reception. We just come back to home. And and the thing that worried me, and I should have said something, but I didn't. He was after. Of course, his mother was gone. Lou practically raised him. He didn't have much home life, and so he was at Maud's, and he said something about getting a suit one. And she said, "No, there's no need of you doing that. I can take care of your clothes. I can get them ready." And she pressed them, and you know how she'd flare around.
Oh, yeah, Aunt Maud did.
And he didn't even have a suit. He didn't have a coat, because it was summertime. It's warm. He didn't have a coat. At that time, I didn't have sense enough to tell him to do it,
Yeah.
and so he didn't. And that's one reason, and I guess you could call it pride, that we didn't go to church. I've been sorry that ever since. I feel like if I'd have said that first Sunday, "No, we're going to church," because he'd never been going to church, that he would have gone with me. But I didn't want him to go without a coat, and I wouldn't tell him.
Oh,
And so that I guess you'd call it pride.
isn't that something?
And,
Now, how old were you?
I'm not sure. I
was
think I was
thinking
8. I think I was about 18, but I'm
Yeah, I was thinking you were 18 or
I'm
19.
thinking about 18.
And so then where did you and Daddy then have a place to go live in a house of your own, or where'd you go after you were married at the beginning?
Well, yes, he got a job working for a man out of Pleasant Hill, just a farmer, you know, a farmhand. And there was a big house out there. We lived. He went. He went to Saying and bought a whole lot of the furniture. I didn't even go with him. I didn't care what
You
he
are
got.
a very trusting wife.
I didn't care what he got. I just didn't think a thing about it. I was pretty naive and not very grown up, I guess. Anyway,
And so you moved into this house then? That was your first place where you lived? Yeah.
it was kind of a big house. And he worked there for that man. He was a good hand. Everybody said he could shop more wheat than anybody they ever saw. He did a lot of work. He was good. So we hadn't lived there too long. I don't remember just how long, till I wanted to invite his family to come, and so I invited Ray's and all of them to come. I had no idea how much food to fix. So Fred and Lou was in the restaurant in Pleasant Hill, and I went and asked Fred. I said, 2 pies enough? Oh yeah, that's plenty. That's not plenty. And I kind of suggested just some other things. So I fixed what I thought was enough. Better there wasn't. When they come. Now Alta had brought a dish or something, but Lou and them hadn't.
Oh, my.
So you ran out of food?
Well, they just kind of didn't eat much. I guess. And I felt real bad about that.
So do you remember when you first got pregnant? Do you have any memories about, had you planned children, or
Oh, yeah.
did we just come along?
We just come along. And I didn't, I think we were married 2 years before I ever
Yeah.
got pregnant. Didn't do anything about it, just good luck. Let her fly. And, then, he was really thrilled. He was real happy.
Oh, you remember that?
And when, and I thought, well, I'm not going to bother Mom, but you know what, I'm sure it wouldn't be easy for her. So I'm just going to have one of the neighbor women come, and that's what you did, always had a woman come in. And we had a doctor, but he was a chiropractor. And he'd come, thank you, hon. And
He was a chiropractor?
I believe it was.
Oh dear.
I think it was. And so I had problems I couldn't have baby.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And so after so long a time, he said, we better get her to the hospital. I'm going to
Right.
save her or the baby either one. And so they called Mom and Dad, and they went up. They went up too. I wasn't aware.
And what was the name of that hospital? I've heard
Lakeside.
You? Lakeside. Yes, I've heard that. And that's where Glenn was born.
Mm-hmm. And
Was you really scared about going to a hospital?
I wasn't with it.
Oh.
I don't remember anything about that at all.
Oh.
So, of course, when he was born, he was okay. And then Ward come up every day. Stayed. He stayed 10 days.
Yeah.
Then.
Oh, yeah.
And he just he couldn't stay away when they'd bring the baby in to nurse, because you didn't keep him with you. he'd just get over and the nurse was kind of an older woman, and she'd just kind of chuckle and laugh and say, well, get your head out. I can't see what I'm doing.
He was real excited.
Oh, he was. Yeah, he was real excited. And then we brought him home. He was real good to help take care of him. He cried every evening. And so he would take him and hold him up against him, and I'd heat claws and put on his stomach and on his feet. And he cried. He had a little colic spell, I guess. But it wasn't too very long till he got over that. So, but he was really pleased with that. And then, of course, the rest of you come along.
Yeah.
And we
In order.
in order.
Yeah.
And the year Norma was born was our worst year. That everything just dried up. There was no.
Let's see, that would have been in, I was born in 29, so she would have been born in 30,
30,
probably,
30,
no, 31.
About 31.
So the Depression had been on.
And I remember Ward did everything he could do to make a living, and he asked the grocer if he could chop wood and bring it during the winter, and he furnished wood for the store, and that's what we bought our groceries for.
Okay.
And something else I don't say, and I can't think of what it was.
And I presume you had a garden every year in Camden.
Yeah,
had
of
food.
course that year nothing grew.
Oh.
We just hadn't hardly anything.
Oh.
But that good old man, he'd come out there once in a while. I can't recall his name, and he had, I don't know, half a dozen farms. But he'd come in. He never had any shoelaces in his shoes.
You mean this is the grocer?
No, the man that owned the place where we lived.
Oh,
I'm
I
sorry.
see. Okay.
He owned the place where we lived. And that year, Ward was just buried to death. I know his corn was up, about as tall as I am, I think. And it come a rainstorm and just blowed it. And I went down out the field with him, and he cried. There's what he planned to pay the rent with, everything. But when the man came out, he told him, I don't have it. My crop's gone. I haven't got anything to pay it with. Well, he said, if you can't make it, you can't pay it. And he just dismissed it.
Well, that's great.
He was a good old man. Well, he knew that Ward had tried.
And that was the same place that you had first gone to? So you lived in that house?
No, we moved from Pleasant Hill down to a place close to Tarsney. And that's where Glenn was born. He was born in that place there, Tarsney.
Was he the only one born there? So where was Shorty?
Then I think we moved into that little house that Grandpa owned, there where Martin Bill lived, for just a little while. And then we moved down there to Pittsville, and that's where you and Norma were both born there. But the year Norma was born was the roughest year we ever had.
And she was kind of sickly, wasn't she?
She wasn't good, and I think part of it was because I didn't have what I should have had to eat.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't hungry.
Yeah.
But I would give my right arm for an apple once in a while.
Yeah.
And as I said, Ward was cutting wood and taking it in to get what groceries we had to have.
Yeah.
And so, and it was cold, and we didn't have very much feed for the chickens. I had chickens. I can remember those old roosters. Their feet was frozen. Now they stubbed along.
Oh my God!
It wasn't funny, but bad. And you just had so much to feed them. And it was a rough time. That was a rough time. And eggs are 5 cents a dozen.
Oh, my goodness.
That's all you got for them.
You want to take a little break, Ann, now?
Okay.
We're going to get up, Mom, and have a little rest, and then we'll finish. Okay, so then you moved to Lee Summit around 32, 33, somewhere along in there. And
Norma was a baby. And
do you remember that move? And
I look forward to that, because that place where we lived there was kind of out of the way.
Yeah.
I was glad to move to Lee Summit.
And you had that on the shares with Mr. Bayless. And
I don't know just how it was.
well, it was on the shares, and Dad did the work, and because I remember he used to come, Mr. Bayless, Jimmy Bayless, and that other, no, Ed.
Ed.
And what was the other one's name? The one Dad did the most business with. Oh dear, I can't think of his name. Anyhow, I remember him sitting around the table figuring up, you know, what Daddy had raised and all.
Yeah, they were awfully good to us. Mr. Ed would bring cases of food down and give it to us. He did to a lot of people, a lot of his friends. He drank all the time, but every morning he'd get up and get kind of half in the wind, and then he'd go take something to somebody, and he bought us a lot of stuff.
And what I remember about them is they gave us a huge box of chocolates every year for Christmas. And as a girl, I remember it being the biggest box of chocolates I ever saw. And we always saved them for New Year's Eve. And then Aunt Fern and Uncle Fred and all of us would get together, and we had those chocolates.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember it so plain.
And I had he and the boy come down for dinner one day. I fixed dinner for him. They come down and eat dinner with us, and he appreciated that so much. The things that we'd fix, you know. Of course, she died. She thought that their son, he wasn't quite right, and she thought he needed some travel to broaden his whatever, and she took him to Europe and traveled over Europe with him, and she really wasn't able. And when she came back, she just by super strength almost, she got to the door of their home and just fell in the door and died.
At the end of her travel? Just as she, oh my goodness.
I remember that.
Oh.
And there at Lee Summit, you had the big chicken house. You had lots of chickens, and a huge garden.
Well, I remember when we first went to Lee Summit, because down at Pittsville, there was no flowers, there was no grass in the yard or nothing. And we went up there, and when spring came, and the flowers began to bloom, and the grass on the yard, it was just magic for me.
And I remember those John quilts out there in the front yard that grew up just in the grass. Just seemed like there were hundreds of them.
And forsythia, there's some forsythia bushes.
And they raised peonies and sold them.
Oh, they had we had a bed as bigger than this room of peonies, just beautiful in spring.
And they sold them on Memorial Day.
Yeah, actually sold
Yeah.
them.
And grapes, we had grapevines, remember those? That big grape arbor, we
And,
used to play out there.
Oh, that kind of food, what is that kind of?
Asparagus?
Asparagus.
Yeah.
In spring we had asparagus
Asparagus
bed,
bed.
and we didn't like asparagus. And so I would get it and go across to the neighbors and they'd buy it from me. They were real glad to get it.
And that's where you sold eggs and things.
Yeah. Sold eggs and then I dressed hens. Well, they wanted hens, the brownies to buy hens from us. And the Browning girls were they were pretty well fixed people. And they owned a store down there, and their dresses that they were tired of. Of course, they were grown girls, and you all were littler. But they give us two different times. They give us a lot of clothes, and you kids had the most fun dressing up in those clothes and things like that.
And later years, Miss Browning said how much she enjoyed. We'd go out there on that front porch and play with those clothes. And we had such a big house that we had one room upstairs, that's all it was. We had all those clothes in there. I mean, it was quite a mess at times. But we'd come out on that porch dressed in those hats and shoes, and she told us how much she enjoyed watching us over there. And we were all little toe heads. Our hair was white.
I imagine when we moved in there, they thought, oh my, we're going to be bombarded with kids. But we never let them go over there, or unless, we had some reason to. We never bothered them. And they were awful good to us.
Yeah, they were.
Things like that to us. Yeah.
Now you were going to tell us something about Christmas. A Christmas you remember?
The first, the first Christmas I remember, that's, is anything I meant, I had a date with this Fred that I went, and it was Christmas Eve, and Mom was fixing a meal, and I just went off on my date with
Fred.
With Fred, and he didn't get me anything. I I remember that. That was one Christmas. And then I remember driving up on the south side of the house. There was a big porch on the south side of the house. And there wasn't any fence in there then. You could drive right along there. And when we'd drive up, Mom would always come out on the back porch and say, Christmas gift. She never said Merry Christmas. She'd always say Christmas gift. I remember doing that.
And we always got together with her. I still remember that as a child. Christmas Eve, we all got together, and that's where we started our tradition of a $1 gift.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I remember the year that we didn't have a Christmas tree, and she had the bed, had some tinsel and stuff around the bed, and we put the presents on the bed. I remember that.
And one Christmas out there at Lee Summit, you know those big old cedars that grew at the back of the house? Ward was mad and we didn't have any Christmas tree. So Glenn and I climbed to the top of that tall tree and started off the top of that tree. and we had a Christmas tree.
Good for you.
I remember doing that.
That's funny.
You remember any of the Christmases as a child? Anything you got that you particularly...
One Christmas, I don't know why, I remember one Christmas I got a French harp.
Oh!
And I think that's all I got. I remember. I remember standing up in a chair, because I was little. I remember standing up in a chair and blowing that French harp. And that's all I remember about it. But that's just as plain the music can be.
That's funny.
We had lots of good Christmases.
And so then, let's see, we go on now. Us kids grew up and was out of school, and then you moved down. We moved down.
Ward built the house down there. He bought that land and built the house down there. And we lived there 5 years.
And you were head of the GAs, weren't you, at the church there? At Teens.
You girls were in it.
Uh-huh.
We had several parties and
Yeah.
skating parties and things like that for you.
We had parties at Lee Summit too, backing up a little bit. We had some Halloween parties.
We had one big Halloween
Yeah.
party. And then Glenn had some little boys that were friends, and he wanted to have something, and I told him he could, but there's one little boy that was just a kind of a misfit, and nobody much wanted him around. He was on me. And I told Glenn, I said, now, you can have this party, but you invite that little boy, too, with the rest of them. He did. But to my sorrow,
What
he
happened?
brought a sack of confetti. And that one room didn't have anything in it much. And that's what they played in. And when I went in there, that floor was covered with confetti, and the boards at the bottom of the room were kind of out a little bit. And they were all the cracks and filled with confetti.
You don't remember his name?
No, I can't remember
Wonder
his
if
name.
Glenn does.
He might, but I can't remember. But that I remember that about that.
Okay, so let's go down to the store now. You bought then you left Elm and went to the store at Cole. And
And we were there. Well, this may sound kind of a bragging, but I thought it's funny. The people that come in wouldn't believe I was as old as I was.
oh,
That one man was just, he said, when some of us in there were talking about me, and he said, do you mind if we look behind your ears?
see if you were dry, huh?
I don't know what he thought.
You know, dry behind the ears.
That's funny.
But he was really
And so how many years now had you been down there when Daddy died?
about a year.
Just about a year. And then you took over and ran the store after that.
I was scared to death to stay there at night.
Yeah.
I wasn't scared of daytime, but I was scared of night. And I went to Trina's a night or two, and then I guess their mother lived up south of the store, and I went up there and stayed a little while at night. But then I thought, now that's no good. I can't do that. So I decided I've got to stay there. And I stayed a night or two, and I was still pretty scared. So I paid this girl. I can't think of her name. She and her mother lived there. I paid her 50 cents a night to come down and stay with me.
Oh.
Not that, she really, but it'd just be somebody there with me.
Well, you had some older woman come and stay just a little while, but it didn't work out. Remember that? I don't remember who she was,
No.
but she didn't stay very long. and it just didn't work out.
I don't remember that.
Oh.
But I do remember having, I can't even think of her name.
Yeah.
And she, we went to a pie supper. And this boy met her there. I think he bought her pie. And he really liked her. And he wanted to date her. But her mother, she was the last one of the children, and her mother didn't want her to leave.
Oh.
And she didn't want him there. And he was just worried to death. So when she'd come down to stay with me, he'd come down to the store.
Oh.
And he said, I said one time, what in the world can I do to? And I said, I think his name was Hal. I said, Hal, I'll tell you what, something to try, you might try. I said, Christmas is coming up. I said, you get her a nice gift for Christmas.
You mean the mother?
Get the mother a nice gift. And he did, and it sure did help. and they went, he kept going with her then, and they finally got married, and they have quite a little family now. But he did it by getting something from the mother. I respected that woman a lot. She wasn't unusually bright, and she'd had a big family of boys. And her husband was dead when we got down there. But every one of her boys were involved in church. She went to that church. She couldn't teach, she couldn't hardly sing, but she was there. She was there, and her witness caused every one of her boys to be affiliated with the church.
That's good.
I've always thought she didn't have very much of anything to use, but she used what she had, and what a payoff it was.
Now tell us about the shows that you had up at the school and the when you were Minnie Pearl. Can you still say Minnie Pearl like you used to?
I don't know.
Try it. Howdy.
Oh, howdy. I'm just glad to be here. I'm just glad that I could come and be with all you good folks and the rest of you too.
Now you was Minnie Pearl, what, 2 or 3 years?
3 years. We had 3 years. And I was Minnie Pearl. They come and wanted me to do that, and I thought, well, I can't do that. But I went to thinking about things and watching her.
And then you wrote some things too, I think, that you,
I did.
for the minstrels. You were the minstrel too then. You blacked your faces.
3 years. We had more fun with that minstrel. Practicing, you know. It was just hilarious. And we tried to keep it clean because it was, you know, from family. So,
who were the other people that did it with?
well, the Treeners, they were in it. They helped a lot.
And they had the store across the street.
He had
The garage, rather. The garage.
And Mrs.
McQuitty.
She said she just couldn't do it, but she helped black us and help with stuff like that. You know, she helped with it. But
It was a community.
community
project.
Well, we had a community building, and we needed chairs, and that's what we did with the money. We bought chairs for that community, and we had a lot of fun doing that, and made. I don't remember now what we charged for it, but we made pretty good. And we got good crowds after the first year.
Yeah.
People kind of liked it, and we did. And then the last year, I guess I'd started going to shows. And of course, Burton didn't like that, because he kind of got a little bit overcome. And
Who was Burton?
well, he was the
Treenary.
Treenary, and they had done so much for me, and I don't want to pull this on me. It was kind of hard.
So that's when you quit the minstrel and things then?
Well, they wouldn't be in it anymore.
Oh, I see.
Burton and Helen wouldn't be in it.
Oh, okay.
But we had one more after they. I was kind of hard at it. I thought, they think we can't have it, and we'll show them. And so I got Ruby Mean to do what Miss Ruby did, to kind of, you know, be
MC.
the prompter and all like that.
Yeah.
She wasn't in it, but she prompted us. And then I saw that wasn't good enough, so I went and got a couple of the young boys in the neighborhood to fill in. And they helped, of course we did quite a bit of singing, and they helped a lot with the singing. and stuff like that, the last minstrel.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of people said it was the best one we ever had. I'm glad it turned out good anyway. They told me that. They may have told Peter or something. They come. They were there.
Oh, did they come?
Yeah, they were there.
I'm surprised
But they
they
did it. But we'd had a lot of fun, you know, getting it together.
So then you married Jean, left the store, and went to Leeton.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, this Mr. Kratzer's wife was the one that told him, said, I think, well, Jean's wife had been dead about a year and a half, something like that. And, of course, Mr. Kratzer went around, he was a salesman for that grocery down there. And he said there were several women asking him if they thought Jean was ready to hunt somebody else. There was always ones after him. And he told her, and she said, you know, I think those two would make a good couple.
And Mr. Kratzer was a salesman that came to Mama's store, and he helped you a lot, didn't he? After Daddy was
my.
gone, he was a lot of help to her.
He told me, he said, if you want to stay here, I'll help you. He said, I've sold groceries here for 35 years, and I know what people use and what they don't. And a lot of times if I'd go to order about a case or something, he'd say, wait about a month. They won't use that yet. And I wouldn't have my money tied up. Said, no need to leave your money tied up there. He was a lot of help. And if somebody did beat in the country, he'd bring the name to you. And I never did lose any money, only for Mac and Margaret.
Yeah.
Well, how long did you have the store then before you married Jean?
I think about 10 years.
Well, it
Oh,
was
my
you married Jean just before Kim was born
Mm-hmm.
in 1960.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember. The kids were little. It probably, yeah, that's probably about right.
I think that's about right.
Yeah, it was a long time. So then you went to Leeton,
Mm-hmm.
and then tell us about your politics in Leeton.
I heard, you know how we voted right pretty soon after I went in there, and I went with Jean to vote, and of course how people was gay and that. And one of the fellas said that I'll bet you $1 she'd weigh all of 110 pounds. Because Jean was big, you know. I
Funny
did
thing
look
to
a little
say.
beside
Now,
her.
was Gene the mayor when you married him there? Did he have that position?
Yeah, he's the mayor.
Okay, he was the mayor for a long time.
Yeah, he was.
Of Leeton.
Mhm. Well,
And that you went to lots of clubs.
yeah, we joined the Rook Club. We
different-
had a real good time with the Rook Club.
And you'd go down to southern Missouri.
We go to
often.
Branson.
Branson, yeah.
About every second or third week, Gene would call about Friday afternoon. He'd call and say, I got a pregnant idea. What's that? Let's go to Branson. I'll be ready when you get back. And we'd go to Branson.
And then you went to Gatlinburg quite a bit,
And
too.
we went every summer. Went to Gatlinburg every summer. That was a wonderful place for anybody to go.
And Barbara and Bob were still in school
Mm-hmm.
when Mama
Yeah.
took that responsibility.
And I got along good with them. Well, the first Sunday I was there, first Saturday night, I sat and the children had been going down to the Methodist church. And I said, children, I'm a Baptist, and I want to go to the Baptist church. But I said, you go wherever you want to. Don't you feel like you've got to do anything because I do it. I said, you do whatever you want to. Bob said, I'm going with you. Barbara never said, but she did. She went with me. And then she was real crazy over some guy was in school, I forgot what he did. But he started coming to our church. And one Sunday morning he went forward, and in just a few minutes she did. I've always wondered if it was real. I guess maybe I shouldn't, but I don't know. Well, I thought, great day in the morning. What's Jean going to say? So when after we went home, I said, Barbara, you going to tell that? She said, no. I said, no. I thought, well, no, I'm not either. But there was a woman in the neighborhood that was pretty newsy. And right afternoon that day, she was at church. Right afternoon, they telephone call, and it was Ellen. She wanted to talk to Jean.
Oh, no.
I thought, oh, she's going to tell him. But she didn't.
Oh, no.
but it went on for quite some time, and I don't know how it came up one time. I guess he got suspicious, or something. Maybe somebody said something to him. He said something about it, and I said, "What she did?" I said, "She went." And before that, he wouldn't go to Sunday school, but he'd come over to church,
Mm-hmm.
and the kids would come with him. Oh, he was so happy to have us all go and sit together. You know, he thought that looked good. But after that, he never went back to church with me anymore.
He didn't.
He never. I tell him, if you want to go to your church, because they went up and joined the Presbyterian church in here in Warrensburg, and Barbara told me, she said they took us up there and we joined that church, and they never did take us back one time. So just so it looked good. But anyway, I think that his first wife was, she was pretty much on everything looking right, doing like that. I think she's a good woman, but she was bad.
So that was pretty much it then. You moved to Warrensburg, and here you are.
Well, she was mayor of Lee.
Oh yeah, did you not? We didn't go about you being the mayor. That's right. Okay, after Jean died, then they asked you to be the mayor.
Well, I come home from your house one time and went in the post office, and somebody said, "We're running you for mayor." And I said, "No, you're not. I'm not going to be mayor." And there was some guy running, they didn't want to have it. And they said, "Oh, you got to," I said, "No, I don't want to be mayor." Because Jean had been mayor, and I knew the gripes that you got and everything. And so they said, "Well, then you'll be on the council if you won't be mayor." I said, "I'll be on the council, but I won't be mayor." And so who did they get for mayor? I don't remember, somebody. And I was on the council then for 2 years, on the town council. I was the only woman. And the man that got it said, "I just can't talk," said, "You have to take charge of the meeting." So I led the meeting. I led the meeting. He was a good man, but he said he could do it. And so then people went to griping, If you've never been around where a mayor, they get an awful lot of, everybody's got anything wrong, they're called mayor. And so they, I was going to say.
Well, he went out, and then you were the mayor until the next term.
He resigned. One of the other men was on with him, said, let's get out, and so he resigned. He was a good man, but this other man influenced him to resign, and so then we did. That fell as mayor for me. And Mayor to the telephone said, the paper from Windsor called, said, can we come out and have a conference with you? And I said, "I don't know if that's necessary." And he said, "We want to take your picture." And I said, "No, I'm not going to have my picture in the paper." And then Warrensburg did the same thing. But I wouldn't let them do that.
You didn't want that notoriety, huh?
Well, you know how pictures look in a paper. And I didn't want to.
Okay, do you girls have any more questions? We've kind of come to the end. Why don't you tell us what you think has attributed to your long life? That's a question they usually ask people at interviews.
I've about decided nobody up there wants me.
Oh, Grandma.
Well, I know one
Or
thing.
down there either. What I think, I was just lucky enough to be born with everything that works. I can't put my head.
You mean physically and mentally and
I just
spiritually?
said everything but my head. But I've just never been sick. When the flu come around, and every one of you, my sisters was in bed with the flu, and I helped wait on them, and I never had the flu. And as far as having a sick spell, I never in my life had a sick spell. Really be sick. And I think I just was lucky enough to have a body like that as Gus. I don't know.
And as long as I can remember, though, you've exercised.
Yeah.
I can remember as a girl, you laying on the floor, doing them floor exercises.
Yeah, I like to exercise. Makes
And
me
I
feel
can
good.
remember you were careful with your diet through the years, and I remember you putting that stuff in your coffee every morning for your nails and so forth. So you were sort of health conscious.
Yeah, I was. I tried to take care of myself, but I just think the Lord's been awful good to me, health-wise, because I haven't. I don't know if I get sick and something hurt me bad, I'm probably the worst person in the world. I wouldn't know what to do with it. So I feel like I've been awful lucky.
But you've had a good outlook on life,
Yeah.
though, all the time. too.
Well, yes, and I'm thankful for that because that's something that I think the Lord give me. I don't think, because I like people, and I don't like to think ugly things about people. And I think there are some people that just they look at everything as their own, it's all bad, and it isn't. There's bad and there's good, and I think that has a lot to do with, and I think that has something to do with your health.
And you used to say you never worried. You wouldn't worry about anything. And why didn't you worry? You used to say you couldn't remember it long enough.
I couldn't keep it in my head. I sure can't now.
That's what she used to tell me.
Yeah, and I guess that was reason, because I never was much of a worry. Oh, I can't see much. If you can't do anything about it, why worry about it? Let her go.
Good philosophy.
So that's what I've done.
Okay.
And I think I've had a good life. I haven't. I've made mistakes like everybody else.
Well, you've been a very special person to a lot of people.
It's a great inspiration.
Yeah, an inspiration to a lot of us.
My family's been an inspiration to me. They certainly have. I've certainly enjoyed. I hear
Let's get all the kids.
people griping about their grandkids and stuff like that. I think
That's what I mean.
I've enjoyed every one of them.
Yeah.
And I think that's enough about me.
Here we
You
are.
look at the camera.
Hi, baby. Everybody tell their name and how old they are.
I am Michelle, and I am 7. I am Rachel, and I am 4.
I'm Brianna and I'm 3 months.
I'm Jesse, and I'm 12.
I'm Grandma, and I can't remember how old I am.
You look great.
Yeah.
Oh, kiss in the mouth.
She loves
You've been
Rachel.
taking care of this baby.
She has.
She does a good
She
job.
was granny.
She does a good job of it.
Just watch
She
Rachel.
loves the baby.
Did you get all the kids with Grandma?
She just loves it. But
I can tell. I can just tell you're kind of excited.
Can you get them all down there?
I can just kind of feel it in those bones.
Are you,
They're jumping.
are you going to get your thing?
She's been watching TV.
I am. And I'm going to turn the lights out in my car.
She didn't have any trouble or anything.
No, I just zipped right up here.
That's good. He's good.
Well, we had an interview with Mama, so we just finished.
Oh.
Just when you drove up. We were just done. Everybody- Sit down there on the floor.
Hi, Jesse boy.
Hi, Daddy.
So you get out on Holy Thursday too, huh?
Jesse, you sit by Grandma. Can you sit on the bed, on the chair by her? Rachel?
Kind of cute.
Spence, why don't you come over here and sit right in front of Bebop?
There's a little cold.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah.
I want to sit by right in the middle.
You gotta get kind of scooching.
Yeah. Hurry, Kim.
There's a white. Yeah, no,
Now
that's
can you get them all?
Right, I got
That's a
them
cute
all.
picture.
Hi.
Okay, hold it just a minute, because... Look here, Brianna. She's looking at that.
Move over by the camera.
What do you think? How do you think she looks like hers?
Yeah, she looks just like Bob, I think. Just exactly.
But Ann now look at her. She's got her eyes wide open. Okay, everybody.
Jesse.
No, Jesse. Listen, I'll be really be mad at you if you do that. Don't do
He's
that.
holding up rabbit fingers.
Say
Grandma.
happy.
At me?
Michelle, get your hands out of your
Michelle,
hair.
hands down.
There you go.
Okay.
Little Spence, he's...
Smile, Cole.
Good.
Now, wait a minute. Why don't you get another one?
Okay.
There it went.
Well, Mom, you talk so much, you've lost your voice, huh?
I guess.
Well, you know, it may just be spring.
No bunny ears, Jess. Everybody
Just cut off the big story.
I'll do it.
Hi, Brian.
Brianna. Brianna. What? Oh, it's Bob.
Go talk to him.
She said, did you lose your room? He called this morning. He was on there. I don't know. I think that's probably in there. So. Oh, maybe. Hi. Hi, baby. Hi. She looking at you.
She said, "Oh no,
Honey, I don't care.
Bunny.
I don't care if your mom doesn't.
Well, not right this minute. Let's have just a little supper and then a little bit of it.
Ooh.
I'm gonna get
You want me
something
to
from
get out?
Cyan. I'm gonna try.
What?
Restaurant?
What do you mean? What do you mean you're going to get something?
Something to eat from there.
Do you know what?
Oh.
You pooped in your
And
bag.
take them out.
Yeah, you
Is that
did.
the one that,
Yeah, you did.
is that
8
the
years old. They can go to camp.
So you gotta be careful. If you get around her too much, then she cries. Well, it's okay. It's okay. It's all right. You want a sock? Come on, let's sock. You want a sock?
So, Michelle, can you believe it?
You don't want a sock?
See, they have cub camp for 8 to 10-year-olds.
Sobbing, 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 sobbing,
Honey, don't get in your face.
sobbing up and shopping.
you're all right.
She's talking. She said, I love you. You love me too. I love you. She said, I you want it. Just a little bit. Isn't this funny? She's pushing. She has to car wash it. But they don't have to. This one. I think this would be.
Rachel.
I will too. I want that. So cute. Can you please bring me my drink? It's right over there. She likes it. Bible, soap, towel, wash, comb or brush, color writing supplies. She said, I flashlight. I got you, doggy. Brush and paste, foam pins from mini bites, and horse. She said, I don't know that doggy.
What's your dog's name?
Penny.
Benny. Oh, you tired of Benny? Okay, well, you hold Benny now. We'll let her look at her dolly.
I put it right here.
Oh, that'd be great.
So when
Look, you better. There's your baby. There's your baby. Rachel gave you. Oh, dear. She's not happy with her baby. See there, your baby's head's all wild.
she said, I'm a baby, but
Whoops.
so maybe I could take this.
Spit up. Okay, Solomon. I think I'll get her out. What a sour face. You done?
Yes.
Mommy, I would like here.
Are you okay?
I would like to bring.
She's
I would
got
like
some
to
more.
bring Lauren to
Don't touch it,
Take
Rachel.
a picture of me and I could take a picture. Let's do it.
She doesn't spit up very much. She don't spit up very much. This one.
Her hair looks cute like that. I hate it. Cute face.
Take a nap.
No, it's just kind of nice to sit.
Yeah.
Hi. Wow. Hi, Brianna. Hi. Wow. Moo, 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 moo. Brianna, 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 Brianna. La 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 la. Hi. Yeah, you gonna tell me something? You gonna tell your uncle Solomon something? Hi. 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 Yeah. Hi. Hi. Boo. 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 Hi. Hi. Hi, Brianna. Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, is that so? Is that so? Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Okay, alright. Okay. Oh, you like that fingers? You like that fingers? No?
Daddy, they want you to bring her in here.